What is going on, trainers? Drumvillain here, bringing you some more Pokemon Go PvP content, and Retro Cup is here. Ultra League is finally gone. We're happy to see the back end of it. We did not have a good time in Ultra League. Now, Retro Cup takes place in the Great League, and it's a specific set of restrictions where all Steel, Fairy, and Dark types are banned from competing. And that's even Pokemon with part typing, so Pokemon like Skarmory that's part Steel is banned, Azumarill that's part Fairy is banned, as well as those pure typings like Registeel Pure Steel and Umbreon Pure Dark type. So this obviously has a massive effect on the Great League meta, as most of those typings, well, yeah, Dark was there, introduced to control Psychic typing to stop them getting out of control. Fairy typing helps keep the dragons under control. Steel type helps keep the dragons under control. So it's gonna really shake up the meta having these bans in place. There's a lot of Pokemon that were held down by particular very common strong meta picks like Azumarill, like Galarian Stunfisk, and there's other Pokemon that only excelled because they were good at handling those Pokemon. So the entire meta is shaken up, so let's see what we can put together. So these battles are the first battles we did in Retro Cup. We did it as soon as Retro Cup dropped at 9 PM UK time last night for us. And we're starting off with quite a meta team to see how that shifts to start with, how it plays out, what people are running, what people are expecting. And that's going to be a Shadow Machamp lead, running counter, cross drop and rock slide. Froslass on the safe swap position. Froslass is arguably one of the best picks for Retro Cup. It's so versatile, got such great coverage moves, threatens almost everything in the meta. And then we've also got Hypno rounding out the team for that relentless confusion damage, running Thunder Punch for some coverage and Shadow Ball to nuke the other Psychic types and the Ghost types that are floating around in Retro Cup. Now these battles are taken from my first 4 sets that we did in the Retro Cup. We had a couple of screen recordings fail, so we haven't got all 20 matches. I think we've got 16 or 17 battles here in this video today, and we had pretty good success with this team, especially considering how many bad leads we did actually run into. Like, Machamp is a very hit or miss in a meta that's full of ghosts and psychics, but we had pretty good success with this team. So if you like the video, please subscribe, helps the channel grow, helps me out. Thanks guys for watching this far, and let's jump into some battles. Now this is quite a squishy team. Shadow Machamp and Froslass are very squishy in Great League, but also they output massive damage and put a lot of shield pressure on opponents. So the first lead we got was an Alolan Marowak, and I very quickly realised that this team does not really have the best answer to an Alolan Marowak. And considering how strong Alolan Marowak is in the Retro Cup meta because of how much it threatens Froslass, it threatens the Psychics, that's not the best weakness to have on your team. We're going to go ahead and bait with a cross chop, because if a Rock Slide does go through unshielded, it will pretty much one-shot an Alolan Marowak. Machamp is great for that. Rock Slide is such a great coverage move for it, and it hits so hard from the Shadow variant, so you get shields out of your opponent either way. And now they've got a Cresselia in back, and we could really bring in either Hypno or Froslass into this, because Hypno's got Shadow Ball, so it can outbulk the Cresselia while threatening with consistent Shadow Balls. We figure we'll come in with Froslass and throw Shadow Ball and threaten the one-shot. So we've got one shield out of him now, so I think we're going to shield this, build up a little bit of extra energy, and then we're just going to throw it straight away. Not chance that they've overcharged and get to another Grass Knot, because like we said, we are very squishy as a Froslass. Get the Cresselia out of here. What have they got in back? It's a Hypno, so they're running a Alolan Marowak double Psychic, so really they needed to catch my Froslass with an Alolan Marowak. That's their tactic, probably, but obviously they should have swapped out on the Machamp lead, I would say, running double Psychic in the back. But either way, the damage is done. We've got a full health Hypno here. We decided to catch on the Shadow Machamp just in case they have a Shadow Ball and for some reason it one-shots, and we're just going to be able to confusion down and take the win. GG. So as you can see, this team has a lot of potential to run away if you get shield advantage. Froslass is incredibly dangerous once shields are down on your opponent's side, because the Avalanche and Shadow Balls can one-shot so many Pokemon each, because Froslass is fairly attack weighted itself, so that Shadow Ball and Avalanche, which are both stab, hit for absolute truckloads of damage. Now in the second matchup we've pulled a Swampert lead, and the Swampert lead is kind of neutral with Shadow Machamp, except that Swampert slightly outpaces Machamp to moves. So unless you sneak a counter in, the Swampert's going to gradually outpace you and those Hydro Cannons will one-shot. So we decided to swap out to catch a Hydro Cannon on our Hypno and see if we could bait out something in the back, and we do pull out an Alolan Marowak, and we got quite a bit of energy. So we're going to just go straight for the Rock Slide, see if they want to shield this or if they're going to lose the Alolan Marowak straight off the bat. They do let it go down, which is nice for us. We've got a bit of excess energy, so we've got an energy lead on the Swampert when it comes back in. So we're going to get to this Cross Chop, and again, they're going to have to shield if they want to throw a charge move or conserve the energy, which they don't, they let it go down. And it's a Medicham in back, which is not good for Machamp, but it's very good for Froslass, because a lot of Medichams now are running Ice Punch, which just does not threaten Froslass at all. It does, look at that, it's absolutely no damage, and we can not quite one-shot with Shadow Ball, but very close to one-shot with Shadow Ball. We're not going to shield bait here, we take it out and we take the win. Good game. Remember, if you guys are building a team, it has to be able to handle Froslass. It's quite common in Retro Cup from what I've seen so far, and it's super dangerous because it can one-shot so many Pokemon. Now in this matchup, we pull a Jellicent lead. And again, we don't really have a good answer for a Jellicent lead. It resists the ice moves from Froslass, it resists the fighting moves from Shadow Machamp, it has ghost moves to threaten the hell out of Hypno. So we swap in Hypno, but maybe the play would have just been to stay in with Machamp and throw Rock Slides rather than give away that we might be super weak to Jellicent overall. But they let that Shadow Ball go through on their Shadow Bomber Snow, which hits for an absolute truckload of damage, which is nice. We're kind of hoping this takes us out, but it doesn't, so we're going to be a little bit... Well, we simultaneously KO, which is certainly interesting. I think it would have been better if the Weather Ball had taken us out and we'd been able to farm down with the Machamp, because really we just need an energy lead to threaten this Jellicent, because this thing can just run rampant on our team, and that Shadow Ball basically one-shots us. We're coming with Froslass. We're going to throw... Well... Avalanche won't even KO from this range because Jellicent is an absolute bulky monster. So we have to throw a Shadow Ball, even though it's one Powder Snow difference, but obviously when you're in this kind of situation, energy really matters and adds up. But now we've been double debuffed with Bubble Beams. We're building up a lot of excess energy before we throw, but we're double debuffed, so even with an optimum Pokemon in the back, we probably can't one-shot them. And it's an Alolan Marowak. We're going to get one Shadow Ball off, but we'll get farmed down before we get to another. And this wouldn't KO anyway, just because we've been double debuffed. So we're going to get farmed down. Machamp hasn't got a chance here, and that's going to be a good game. Really, in that matchup, we should probably have stayed in with Machamp, tried to get shields down, and hoped that Froslass could sweep in the back with Shadow Ball nukes. But a double Ghost team is quite tough to deal with. Next matchup, we pull an Altaria, and that Dragon Breath absolutely melting Shadow Machamp. I think they have quite an attack-weighted Altaria. I think it's hitting an attack break point there, because I played another Altaria matchup later on and it wasn't doing nearly as much damage over time to Machamp. So we throw a Rock Slide to force a shield and then swap out, hoping that maybe they swap out so then we can line up Froslass later to farm it down, but they are staying in, which we don't mind because we've still got shield advantage. Now they go down 2 shields. This is prime Froslass sweep material. So we'll let Hypno go down. We're lucky that they throw there really and don't farm us down all the way. Now we're going to bring in Froslass once we wait out the switch timer and just hope that we can just throw nukes back to back and take everything out. They bring in a Alolan Marowak, and this is what I'm talking about. Alolan Marowak is really a counter to Froslass, but without a shield to defend itself, it is a sitting duck. Bang! One shot, get out of there. Altaria comes back in, it's going to get farmed down. We've got energy, 2 shields, what's in the back? It's a Medicham. We're just going to throw a Shadow Ball at this thing. We'd probably get a 2 shield sweep in this game if we were feeling cocky, but if they do throw a move, we'll shield either way. But we know we take the win, 2 shield flex, GG. If you're looking for a Pokemon to build for Retro Cup, a single Pokemon, make it Froslass. It's incredibly powerful. There's not much that really walls it in this meta. There's a lot of powerful water types and ice types in the meta, such as Lapras and Dewgong, to help keep some fire type counters under control. Now in this matchup we've got a Galvantula lead, and this is kind of again a neutral lead. it would resist the cross chop, so we go straight for the rock slide to guarantee the shield or knocking them out, and they swap in a Haunter, and Haunter is scary. It's fast, it threatens the ghost, it threatens the psychics. It's a great choice for this cup, but the confusions absolutely melt the Haunter. 4 confusions and it's gone. We've got excess energy, and I think we'll survive a lunge and still be able to throw a Shadow Ball at this Galvantula to threaten it. Hypno is an absolute unit, can take a beating, even though this one isn't particularly good PvP IVs, but it's a pink shiny, and you know, everyone knows shinies do more damage. And now they've got a Shadow Politoed in back and a shield advantage. We are not in a good situation here. We're going to go in with Shadow Machamp, throw a rock slide, threaten either big damage or get that last shield. And I think we're hoping here that Froslass can one-shot with Shadow Ball, but Politoed gets to moves so fast and Froslass is so squishy, plus this is a Shadow so they hit harder, and look at that, that one Weather Ball hits just over half. So now we will not get to the Shadow Ball. This will just be enough to take us out, so we won't know if the Shadow Ball, I think the Shadow Ball probably would have taken it out, but we just don't quite get there. It's unfortunate, but it's a good game to my opponent all the same. It's a big risk having such a squishy lead and a squishy Pokemon in the back, because if you get that shield disadvantage, it can really screw you in the end game. Now we pull a really good lead here. Dewgong, assuming it's double legacy, gets melted by Shadow Machamp, and they swap in a Pyro. They must have been hoping that I swapped out, panicking, but we don't. Pyro gets absolutely countered down, smashed to pieces before it even gets to a move. We throw a Rock Slide at Hypno, and now we're going to swap out, because we know that we can line the Machamp up with Dewgong in the back and do big damage before we get taken out. And Froslass here getting the first shield out of this Hypno. I don't think we're going to shield this now. If we get taken out, if we get Shadow Balled or whatever, we can just bring in Hypno and either Confusion down or get a Thunder Punch off to finish this off, and we're confident that Machamp can finish this game out. So we're just going to hit through an Avalanche as we take this out, and they're committing to hoping that with one shield Dewgong can sweep this match. Now, they are going to get to Farmers down with Ice Shards, and this is a pretty good play on their part, because Machamp is great, but it's super squishy and can't take charge moves. So by having that much energy, they can threaten the Machamp before it gets a chance to do much damage. So we bring in Hypno, and we figure we're just going to let them throw Icy Winds, and once they throw the second one, we're going to swap out to Machamp, because when the debuffs are cleared, we save the energy on Hypno to throw afterwards, and then we can do the most counter damage we can before we get taken out by charge moves. So throw his cross chop, and if they don't shield this, it'll take them out, and they choose to let it go through. They realise that they're screwed, and that's a good game. As you can see, when this team gets a good lead, it dominates. It's very hard for an opponent to flip it back around. And another Dewgong lead. We had 2 Dewgongs in a row, and they bring in an Altaria safe swap, and Froslass is just going to go to town on this. It outpaces Altaria, hits for double super effective. So if Altaria's going to shield this, which I was kind of surprised by, but I think they just wanted to get a shield out of us, which I can understand as a tactic, because obviously getting shields down makes Shadow Machamp much more vulnerable at the end. And now we make a misjudgment, we go for a farm down, and you can't farm it down without getting another charge move thrown at you. So we now have to commit 2 shields. And that's a big mistake. We should have thrown the Avalanche before they got to that Sky Attack, just to take them out and not have to spend that second shield to keep swap. Dewgong's going to come back in, and we're going to just throw Shadow Balls at this. We're probably going to be able to get 2 Shadow Balls off, if not 3 if they go for the farm down. So this second Shadow Ball is going to get them super low or take them out. If they don't shield, they do shield, so the even shield scenario is restored. We might just get to, yeah, I think we were going to get to the Shadow Ball before they could farm us down, so they choose to bank the energy and swap out. I'm going to go ahead and throw an Avalanche, swap in Hypno, because a Thunder Punch would do massive damage to Pelipper being double super effective, but we're actually going to go for the farm down. I'm going to farm this Pelipper down, and then make the Dewgong throw energy at Hypno to take us out, but I think Hypno wins CMP tie. Yeah. Assuming that they try to throw a charge move there, I think Hypno wins CMP tie against Dewgong, and that Thunder Punch is going to do a good chunk of damage. They're forced to throw energy to take us out, and Machamp should be able to counter down if we do get taken out, but they go for a farm down, which was really their only play at that point. They undercharged the Icy Wind. It's not enough. We get to a Thunder Punch and take the win. GG. As you can see, having squishy attack weighted Pokemon makes for very quick games because you either take them out in one charge move or they take you out in one charge move. Now, Froslass lead. Froslass lead is not brilliant for Machamp. We found that most Froslass leads that we saw, we struggled with whatever they had in the back. Now they swap in a Medicham and we bring in Froslass because we've already played a few matches with Medichams in the back, lined up with Froslass. So we feel like, oh yeah, this is a brilliant matchup, but we get hit by Psychic, which is kind of bad because the counter is only single resisted, so it is adding up and will take us out. So really, I think with a tool shield, Medicham, like a swap in early on, Hypno is a better punish because the confusion hits for neutral, you're resisting the counters, you're a lot bulkier, and Medicham doesn't have any charge moves that can really hit for a good amount of neutral damage. Not to mention also Hypno has a worse matchup against Froslass than a Froslass mirror, so we could have spent the Hypno more productively than we are going to spend it in this match. We've got a lot of energy on Machamp, so we're going to throw a cross chop bait, and then if they push their luck, we're going to throw a rock slide, which I had to catch, and I was quite happy with this catch from counting their moves to catch the Shadow Ball, but I thought I was catching an Avalanche. I'm not gonna lie, I got caught off guard. I thought I'd catch an Avalanche and then have maybe a chance, but because we ate a Shadow Ball for breakfast, it absolutely annihilates us, and this Swampert is just going to run through the rest of the team. We charged up to 2 Hydro Cannons, so there's nothing we can do. We're going to get taken out, and we get absolutely dominated in that matchup. So, if you're running this team and someone swaps in a Medicham, I recommend you swap in Hypno, not Froslass, because you can generally wear them down much better than Froslass can. Now, we've got another Altaria lead here. And this is what I was talking about. You can see that the Dragon Breaths are doing a lot less damage. By the time we reached a Rock Slide in the last matchup, we were at below half health. This time we're at well above half health when we get to the Rock Slide. So I do feel like that if it's a PvP Altaria, you can take the Dragon Breaths much better. I feel like it must have been an attack break point that the other Altaria was hitting. And they swap in a Jellicent against our Hypno, which is really bad news for us. And for some reason we let the Shadow Ball go through, and really we needed the confusions to gradually chip away, throw some Thunder Punches, wear it down, because like we said, we don't have a good answer to Jellicent. So rather than just letting Hypno get one shot when we had a decent amount of energy, we should really have shielded up and thrown some moves to start chipping away at it, because this Jellicent, as we say, does have the potential to run through the team. Now we've brought in Froslass, they definitely know it, because they've seen our full squad at this point. And no, I would be surprised if they didn't have another Froslass answer in the back. Yeah, they got their own Froslass, which must be their safe swap option if they see a Froslass lead themselves. But we've got an energy lead, so we're going to go ahead and throw the Shadow Ball straight away. We're not bothered about baiting, and we're going to swap into Machamp to force them to throw. Because if they don't throw, we'll make it to a Rock Slide and one-shot them. So we eat a Shadow Ball, we go down, we're fine with that. We've still got a shield to protect us here. And now they have to try and catch, because we will beat them to the next charge move. And they call it too early, we weren't at the Shadow Ball yet. We can farm down, gets us perfectly to the Shadow Ball to take them out. And that's going to be a GG from a pretty iffy matchup. Altaria would look like a bad lead from a Machamp, and Jellicent punishment to a Hypno is pretty bad, but we're still able to flip it round just because Froslass is so dangerous. So, a lower Marowak. Again, as you can see, there's a lot of ghost types on leads. There's a lot of people leading things like Jellicent, a lower Marowaks, and even Froslass. And the one thing to take note of is that because Marowak is generally there to shut down Froslass, there's a good chance that whatever they've got in back can't deal with Froslass. So we're just going to eat that Shadow Ball, we're going to get one shot, get taken out, and we're going to bring in Hypno to start really chunking this Marowak down. And I don't think we're going to shield this either. No, we are going to shield this, okay. But we're going to really commit into hoping that Froslass can sweep the end game. Build up a lot of energy, throw a Thunder Punch, and this won't quite take them out, I don't think, but we get a shield either way, so it doesn't matter. And now with this extra confusion, a Thunder Punch will take them out, but I don't think we're going to shield this. Nope, okay, we are going to shield this. Last night me was in a different mindset to today me, but then they swap out an Altaria, obviously hoping that they can bait out a Froslass maybe, but it's quite late. Now they've given up both shields, because we can eat this Sky type. You can survive one fairly comfortably, build up quite a bit of extra energy, throw an avalanche, take this Altaria out, and then we should be able to get to a move to take out the Marowak. It'll be close, but I think we can get to a move. But they have their own Froslass in the back, which they bring in, and we should have gone for the Shadow Ball. We would have definitely made it to Shadow Ball there. So now this is scary, because we get one shot by a Shadow Ball, but we're there on Hypno. We've got the energy. We throw the Shadow Ball. It's going to take out the Froslass. So it's can we Confusion down this Marowak before it gets to another Shadow Bone. It gets to a move. This is going to be iffy. If it's a Shadow Bone, they win, but it's a Bone Club. We survive. We Confusion down. We take the win. GG. But we definitely should have gone for the Shadow Ball with Froslass against their Froslass, because Powder Snow does no damage. It's tough to farm down a Froslass with Powder Snow. Now here's an absolutely abysmal lead for us. Hypno. That Confusion would hit like an absolute truck on Machamp, so we swap out into our Hypno as a safe swap. I tend to find that if you're weak to a lead and you have the same Pokemon in back, swap to the mirror and see what they want to do, because we don't want to bring in Froslass, which is our best Hypno answer, and then be caught up possibly again with best case scenario a Hypno mirror match. And they punish us with a Froslass, and we're very close to 2 Shadow Balls, but not quite there. So we decide to try and get a bait with that second one, and we don't get it. So then they're able to farm a bit extra energy, which is scary, but the Froslass is pretty low. But I think we're going to commit into coming in with Machamp, and we're just going to eat this move. And we're going to hope that 2 shield Froslass. No, we do. Okay. I'm going to stop trying to guess what I did in these battles. They bring in Hypno, and we're even on shields, but this Hypno's got a decent amount of energy. This could be a Shadow Ball, but it's a Fire Punch, which would hit for a reasonable chunk. It wouldn't one-shot, it'd hit maybe like 30%, but with the confusions over time, that damage really does add up. But now they're going to get to another move, and this is either going to be Fire Punch. I would assume it's going to be a Fire Punch. I wouldn't expect a Hypno to run Fire Punch and a Shadow Ball, and they've got a Talonflame in back. So this guy was ready for Froslass, really. Hypno in the front and then 2 Froslass answers in the back. So we're just going to get swept by that Talonflame. Good game. I didn't see many Talonflames in my first matchups in Retro Cup, but I do think we're going to see more and more of it, because I do think it has a lot of play in this meta. And we get a Defense Deoxys lead in this match. And Defense Deoxys, I don't think is that good of a choice to bring to this cup. Like, yeah, it's great against Machamp, but there's so many Psychic types and Ghost types running around that Defense Deoxys can really struggle with. So I feel like it's very easy to shut down. But on the lead, I can see why it'd be a good shout, I guess, especially if it's running Psycho Boost. And they've got a Zangoose as punishment for our Hypno, which is quite spicy, but very effective at taking out Hypno. Now they found down with Defense Deoxys, and we're just hoping that Zangoose was their Ghost answer. We're going to hope that both Deoxys and whatever's in the back cannot deal with Froslass. We're going to shield 1 Rock Slide, but really, Froslass can survive 1 Rock Slide fairly comfortably. It doesn't do that much damage. Defense Deoxys is very defense weighted. They let that go through. We've got a lot of energy. We made sure to overcharge as much as we could before we threw, so that we had energy in case it was something like a Marowak in back. So we're going to get that shield, but then we're very much going to be able to safely shield and get to a Shadow Ball to take them out. They must have been trying to build up to possibly 2 Shadow Bones, or a Bone Club and a Shadow Bone, going for a bait, but we take them out and we take the win. Good game. Honestly, in Retro Cup, if you're in a bad situation, just getting shield advantage and committing into managing your energy and going for a Froslass sweep is very viable against most teams, just because of that Shadow Ball being able to one-shot so many of the popular picks for the cup. Now we got another Swampert lead here, and like we said, the real thing you need to do is start sneaking in counters where you can, just so you can keep pace with the Hydro Cannon. We decide we're going to throw just before they get to their second Hydro Cannon, see if they want to shield or not. They do, and they're going to get to another Hydro Cannon, and if we're shielding this, which we are, we should farm down after rather than throwing a move. But they swap out into Gengar right away, and we're going to go ahead and throw a Rock Slide, which will either one-shot or get the shield. And now we're going to bring in Hypno, because this Gengar is pretty dangerous to our team. but we assume they're running Shadow Punch and then possibly Sludge Bomb or something else like that. So we know we can take one Shadow Punch and farm down with Confusion, because, like we said, Gengar's incredibly squishy and weak to that Confusion damage, which absolutely chunks away. They've got an Alterian back, so we're going to throw a Shadow Ball, weaken them quite a bit, and then even they're going to get a bit of a farm on us here, but Froslass can take one Sky Attack, and then we're going to be able to take them out and take this game. Hopefully. We say this, there's still the Swampert in the back, with some health and some energy. They Dragon Pulses, which is pretty spicy. They swap in the Swampert, but really we can just throw the energy here on the Swampert and then just farm down the Altaria, because the Powder Snows hit so hard, being double super effective. So we take that win. Good game. Altaria is a very strong pick, since nothing in the Retro Cup meta even resists dragon damage, but you've really got to watch out when there's so many Froslass running around and when it's such a popular pick. And this is an unusual matchup. We get a Gastrodon lead, and I don't think I've ever battled against a Gastrodon ever in GBL. And it's running Mud Slap, I think, which is chunking away because it's a stab, fairly hard hitting fast move, but it obviously takes him a long time to get to charge moves. We've got another cross chop ready to go here, so we're going to shield up, build up a bit of extra energy, and then throw the cross chop. Get a bit of lag, which is a little scary when you've got a fast move doing that much damage to you. And if they're going to shield this, they're going to commit to 2 shields and farm us down, which, well, they've revealed that they have Body Slam, and they throw blindly, so this is very likely another Body Slam, so we're not going to shield, even though it's Froslass and it's squishy, it does absolutely nothing to us. We're going to farm down, we've got a shield advantage, and is it the old Froslass can sweep any team? And it's a Munchlax comes in, and an understated part of this meta is the normal types that use Lick, and that's Munchlax, Snorlax, Lickitung, Licky. There's probably a couple of others that I'm missing, but they're the kind of ones really to watch out for. But you see, without shields to defend itself, 2 Avalanches will take out a Munchlax anyway, and then they've got a Cast Form in back. I'm not really sure why they didn't bring this into Froslass and save Munchlax for the Hypno. They might have been in a better position. But either way, we're going to be able to get to this Shadow Ball, do massive damage, and then probably Confusion down if they do survive, which they do, but they're not going to be able to take us out here. I think we can comfortably shield this because we don't want to risk how much damage those Embers will do to Froslass, because it will hit pretty hard, and that's a GG. Nice, spicy team from the opponent there with Fire Cast Form and Munchlax and Gastrodon, but I think we just got quite fortunate with some of the alignment there as well to help us win. And now let's look at a Vigoroth lead, and Vigoroth gets absolutely melted by a Machamp, and they bring in a Raichu, and I did not realise that regular Raichu learns Charm until Shadow Machamp ate one of them and lost nearly half its health. So that's an interesting thing, is that you can get around some of these restrictions in that sense, because you think, oh, there's no fairies, so there's no Charmers. That's not true. There are quite a few Pokemon that learn Charm that aren't fairy types. And this guy brings 2 of them, if I remember right. He's got a Vigoroth on the lead, and then he's got 2 Pokemon in the back that are both running Charm. So we're just going to spam Thunder Punches at this Vigoroth. We're not going to shield anything that it throws at us. We're not too stressed, because if they do take us out, we can just farm down with Machamp. So, and we need at least 1 shield for Froslass, because really just being down 1 shield puts us at quite a big risk with this team. So we try to snipe down with Machamp, and they swap out into a Chinchino. Is it Minchino or Chinchino, the one they're running? It is, oh, it's Chinchino. And that's running Charm, but it gets absolutely melted by the counters before it takes us out, because obviously being a normal type, it's still weak to fighting. So we might be able to shield the Aqua Tail, and we might be able to farm down here. Yeah, the opponent concedes there. It's going to be a good game. But yeah, remember, there are still Charmers out there. They're unusual, like a Raichu running Charm and Wild Charge is nuts, but they're out there, so don't be caught off guard. Now let's look at a Crustle lead. Most Crussles in PvP are running Rock Throw as a fast move, and they're generally probably be used in this meta to take out the Fire and the Ice types to try and deal with the lower Marowaks and deal with Froslass. So catching the one with Machamp is very good, because the counters are hitting for quite good neutral damage, and we're resisting the fast move damage. We're even able to take a charge move on Shadow Machamp and still be in a good position there. So they swap out to Deoxys, and we're going to bring Froslass in here just because we want to keep this thing away from the Crustle and spend it well on a particular Pokemon that it's going to do well against. And we feel like this is fast to be 2 rock slides, but it is 2 rock slides, so we're not sure if where they snuck in the extra counters, but they obviously did somewhere. I'm going to go for double Shadow Ball. We don't mind if they commit to 2 shields and take us out, really, because then we're going to be able to farm up quite a bit of energy with Hypno and be in a reasonable position, still looking to close out the game, because Shadow Machamp still threatens very heavily, good damage on most things, and the Shadow Ball and Hypno threatens most things as well in this meta. Just hoping that they don't have, let's say, a normal type lick user in the back that could really waste the energy that we've got on Hypno here. But I mean, to be fair, this Defense Deoxys is putting in work on Hypno here, so we'll have to throw a Thunder Punch to get rid of it. And let's see what they've got in the back. We're able to farm down with Confusion. We're trying to swap out immediately to Machamp. I'm not really sure why. I think we should see what they come in with. And it's a Vigoroth. And this is kind of scary, but we're going to be able to get to a Cross Chop and absolutely smash this Vigoroth to pieces, absolutely wreck it, and then the Crustle tries to swap in. We're going to counter each other down and out, and because we've still got the Hypno, it's our win. Good game. So let me know how you guys are getting on. Are you playing Retro Cup? Is it going well for you? You got a particular spicy pick that's working out super nicely? We're thinking we're going to try something different after this team. This team worked fairly well for us, and we know we could have reasonable performance depending on how the meta shifts a bit, but we're going to mix it up and try something different today, I think, and possibly have another video in the next couple of days for you guys showing some different teams. So if you want to see that, guys, you want to keep up to date, don't forget to subscribe. If you're already subscribed, you're an absolute legend. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, I will see you next time.